Gareth Southgate has announced his 26-man England squad. Was it 23?
25.
I know it's 23 for the Euros.
25-man squad.
25-man squad, yeah.
Upcoming friendlies against Brazil and Belgium. Good friendlies, to be fair.
Yeah, much more interested in the, sort of Liechtenstein.
Am I right in thinking this
Marino.
is the last friendlies before the Euro starts? So this is the kind of last litmus test that Gareth Southgate has got before the Euros begins. And you'd think it'd be a good time to... Well, you can go one of two ways. You either go in with pretty much your Euro squad and get them ready for the Euros, or you do some final testing of the waters on some unknown quantities.
We're going to break down his team, starting with the goalkeepers, and just give our opinions and maybe highlight a few players that were unlucky to miss out. Starting off, I mean, the goalkeeper situation with England's weird because you've got Pickford, who's sort of been the number one for a long time, playing in an Everton team, fighting relegation. We've got Aaron Ramsdale, who...
There was a period where we were a little bit blessed with keepers that were starting and you didn't know who to choose between a starting Aaron Ramsdale, a starting Nick Pope and a starting Jordan Pickford. Now Ramsdale's lost his place, Nick Pope's injured for the season, and Sam Johnston's lost his place, I think, in the Crystal Palace side to Dean Henderson.
Yeah, there were shouts of Jack Butland from Rangers getting in.
So
I can't say I've watched too much of Rangers, but they sit at top of the SPL, don't they? So, I mean, who knows? I mean,
so it's going to be Jordan Pickford,
It's going to be Jordan Pickford. He hasn't really put a foot wrong for England.
No, he's been all right for Everton this season. One of the better defences in the league.
He's a good shot stopper, but it makes easy saves look quite difficult.
Yeah.
And there's always that question around him because he's not the biggest goalkeeper, but I think until he does anything wrong to lose his place, that place is really his.
I think, yeah, whilst we've got a situation where there's no really high level competition for him in terms of England goalkeeper, you just leave him in. Like Ramsdale was knocking on the door when he was Arsenal number one and Arsenal were in the title charge, but now he's not. You can't get Ramsdale in there. And so let's move on to Jordan Pickford's Everton compatriot. Is compatriot the right word? I don't know.
Compadre.
Jarrad Branthwaite has finally got a call-up. One of the best centre-backs in the Premier League this season. I know everybody on Twitter was calling for a Jarrad Branthwaite call-up.
It's so deserved. I mean, what more can you do to warrant a call-up? He's been the absolute rock in that Everton defence and maybe their standout player of the season.
And we've said for time that the left side of the centre-backs for England has been a bit of a mess, and that's why Harry Maguire keeps getting called up. Harry Maguire has been called up, but I think you give a start in at least one of these games to Jarrad Branthwaite alongside John Stones.
Yeah, I mean, running through the defenders, so you got Branthwaite, Chilwell, Dunk, Gomez, Konsa, Maguire, Stones, and Walker. And I think you like Stones and Walker, absolute solids in there. I think he's always going to call out Harry Maguire, who's not been bad for Man United since his sort of return to the starting 11, but
still shouldn't be starting for England.
Those questions that will always be there. He's a liability on the pitch sometimes, but Gareth Southgate, he likes to stick with what he knows. Ezri Konsa has been really good. Joe Gomez has been absolutely amazing for Liverpool. I mean, his versatility.
Yeah, I think that's a key reason he's made the call up because Ben Chilwell's like the only named left back and Kyle Walker's the only named right back. Joe Gomez being able to play both those positions is absolutely crucial.
Yeah, 100%. I think Lewis Dunk is maybe a bit of a question mark. I mean, Brighton conceded quite a lot of goals at the minute, and whilst he's been really good under Potter and the early De Zerbi, I think maybe they're going to start phasing him out soon. So I don't know what that means for him going forward, but I think he's a solid name. I think he was good in England's previous fixtures.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Do you know what? I think he's someone that I think's reliable.
Yeah, I think he's solid. He's like when we brought Conor Cody to the last tournament. He's like that kind of good for the dressing room, kind of will fill in centre back if he needs to and at a good level, but shouldn't be starting centre back.
No, 100%. And so if you've got Pickford in goal, you've got Walker at right back, you've got Stones in there. We're saying Branthwaite's got to be the starting left back. Sorry, the starting left centre back. And then that left back position, I mean, Ben Chilwell.
Ben Chilwell, for me, Chelsea have been terrible and he hasn't been great either. But we're at a situation where Luke Shaw's out for pretty much the rest of the season. Rico Henry, who I really like, is out for the rest of the season. Should we have seen a call up for maybe Alfie Doughty?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's been absolutely amazing for Luton. And it's often those sort of like lesser teams that get overlooked.
Indeed.
When it comes to England
especially
selection.
By Southgate. You see like all the talks of him like never watching Serie A. That's why Tomori never gets called up.
Yeah.
So
But he'll go to Ajax to watch Hendo.
I don't.
It's absolutely
Let's move on
outrageous.
to the midfielders. Jordan Henderson, how the hell has he been called up again? Ajax have been terrible. He's been terrible since he arrived at Ajax.
He's been terrible since he went to El Atifaki.
And he still will get game time in this England team. I guarantee first game of the Euros he starts.
Yeah, and it's absolutely outrageous. I mean, he has done nothing but give reasons why he shouldn't be in this England team. And I Gareth Southgate will live and die by this sword. Because if he starts or comes on and has a stinker, people will be coming for his head.
There is just no way he's at the level with the rest of the midfielders.
I mean, Rice and Bellingham are your shoo-ins. They are guaranteed to start. They're the first names on the team sheet.
They're like world-class footballers, top 10 in the world. And then you got Jordan Henderson, who's a 33-year-old, past it.
Well, he couldn't get a Premier League move. He was waiting for a Premier League move and no one wanted him. He wouldn't start for any team in the Premier League.
And then he couldn't hack it in Saudi.
It's absolutely outrageous, and I don't really know. I know he probably wants him around for the squad and whatever, but surely the people that you could bring in, who we'll talk about, can't be that bad.
Yeah, 100%.
In terms of like motivating teammates. I mean, surely competition replaces absolutely everything here. I mean, if you're the likes of a James Maddison, and you're sat on the bench because Jordan Henderson's starting over you,
mate, I'd be livid.
You'd be fuming, absolutely fuming.
But apart from Henderson, I quite like the midfield options.
Yeah, the only other name in that midfield that I'm sort of a bit like is Gallagher, but I think he provides something a little bit different.
I was going to say he's a very different profile to the other guys in there.
Yeah, and maybe a different profile to anything England sort of have.
100%.
I mean, he can fill in that as that forward role. He can play deeper as well, and he's just energy, isn't he? He's energy. 100%. He's going to come. He's like a replacement for Calvin Phillips.
Yeah, let's talk about Calvin Phillips. I saw a tweet where he's like, Calvin Phillips is the first player ever to lose his international spot by playing more football. That's mental.
Yeah, I think Gareth spoke about it as well. He said, like, look, he knows what he has to do to get back into my team.
Yep.
And maybe I think a lack of Calvin Phillips is quite detrimental for England because of the profile he has. I mean, he could sit alongside Rice and then allow Rice that sort of freedom to move up the pitch, which I don't think we'll see anymore now.
No.
Rice is going to be that holding six, but he's not going to move really much past the halfway line, which is fine.
Yeah, which I don't hate because of the more attacking options that we've got in that midfield. You got Bellingham, who is putting up absolutely crazy numbers at Madrid. You got James Maddison, who's having an absolutely elite season for Spurs. And then in the forward section, but you can talk about him, Phil Foden. People are saying he's the best player in the Premier League this season. And he's playing that kind of more central role at Man City at the moment, especially when De Bruyne is not playing. So yeah, I don't think there's any harm in playing Rice as the kind of sitting six.
I mean, I completely agree with you. I genuinely think our best midfield, and we're looking for someone to sort of sit alongside Rice as that sort of like that eight who's going to shuffle the ball, a little bit more physicality, and maybe you lose that if you bring someone like Foden into that middle of the pitch. But I think just the technical ability between a Rice, Bellingham, and Foden three is just you're going to win every midfield.
I'll pose you this. So I've seen a lot of people say, why would you move Bellingham out of the 10 position to accommodate Foden when Bellingham is having a better season than Foden?
It is the sort of the main query with that midfield three is how do you get the best out of Bellingham but also allow Foden to play in his best position? And maybe it's a question of only one of them starts.
Yeah. Because
we've been talking about it quite a lot just between us, and we're saying we would like someone who's potentially maybe a little bit more physical but is a runner on that left-hand side maybe to just... And then you can just allow Bellingham that freedom to not come back behind the halfway line.
Yeah.
To play on the break and, dictate the play a bit more. Do you want to throw out a couple of names? Or do you want to wait till the end?
Kobbie Mainoo. I get why he hasn't been called up. He's 18, hasn't even made an appearance for the under-21s of England yet. So to make the double jump to senior football is crazy. He's only had a handful of games for Man United. But when he's played for Man United, this kid looks bloody elite.
He is everything you ask for in the modern, defensive midfielder.
And profile-wise, he's absolutely perfect to go alongside Declan Rice. You saw in the game against Liverpool, the ability that he has to pick up the ball from... So it'd be John Stones and whoever plays alongside John Stones to receive the ball, him and Declan Rice, and then Declan Rice and him can push up together in kind of... They balance each other out left and right side, and he's just so calm on the ball, so good at progressing it, so smart. And I think he would balance that midfield so well with Bellingham in front of him.
Oh, 100%. I think he is the answer. And maybe it's a little bit of coyness from
lack
Southgate.
of bravery, yeah.
I understand you don't want to move things along too quickly when it comes to players, but if you're good enough, you're old enough. It's that age-old saying. If you're good enough, you are old enough. I mean, why limit yourself? You've got 35 million year old Jordan Henderson in here, who's not going to be around for longer. He doesn't give you. He is not half the player that Kobbie Mainoo is.
And it's just a stage now where, like, now Kobbie Mainoo, there is actually no chance he gets for the Euros call up because you're not going to bring him in without any prior England experience.
Yeah, and you've got two players in this squad.
So he could have the best rest of the season. I don't think he gets called up. Whereas now would have been a good time to kind of test the waters with him. 2 pretty big friendlies. Yeah. Just to see how he goes.
Yeah, 100%. And
the lack of bravery is kind of it won't cost England because I still think England are pretty stacked and will go into the Euros as one of if not the favourites.
Yeah.
But I think it would have been a good time to kind of test the waters.
Even to like bring him in, and Gareth Southgate spoke about this. He spoke about his own experience with England when he was brought into the England squad and he knew he wasn't going to start or play. Yeah. But it's about being around that team.
100%.
It's about being around and understand what it means to play for your country. And it's a perfect time. It ponders a lot of questions. I mean, he's brought how many forwards?
Yeah, let's run through the forwards. So we got Jared Bowen absolutely flying for West Ham. Phil Foden, like we said, one of the best players in the Premier League this season. Anthony Gordon, who we've both called to be in the England squad for a long time now.
I thought he was going to be out for like 8 months or something.
The left wing options at England have kind of taken a fall with the decline of Rashford and Sterling and Grealish, who is missing from this list, actually. We'll talk about him. But yeah, Anthony Gordon called up, I think is a good option at left wing. Harry Kane obviously doing absolute madness at Bayern.
It's Cole Palmer. A little bit of an injury scare.
Yeah, I saw that actually.
Banged his ankle, but...
Cole Palmer, absolutely elite for Chelsea this season. And can play a range of positions. He can play centrally, right wing and left wing. So I think he's a good option. Marcus Rashford's a weird one. I think he's had a pretty shocking season. Yeah. But like I said, left wing options aren't great. So he probably just walks in. Bukayo Saka, best right winger in world football. So he's obviously getting in. Ivan Toney just returned from his gambling ban. And I think the debate was him or Dom Solanke.
Yeah. And
I think I'd go Dom Solanke.
Yeah. The only thing is, though, I think he offers... Maybe just like he's not more. Maybe he is more physical than Dom Solanke. They're both big forwards. Yeah, they're both units of forwards. But in the air, Tony's really, really elite. I think he's also he's just a brute. He's like such a winner, and you can tell just his attitude towards everything. And maybe this is Gareth Southgate wanting just more of a look into him as a person, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
But yeah, Dom Solanke is really hard done by because he's been an absolute outrageous for Bournemouth this season.
Yeah, one of the best strikers in the Premier League this season.
And I think it just goes to show his goal for his most recent goal for Bournemouth where he sort of takes it on the spin.
Yeah, it was nice.
Technically, he's good. I think he's good in link-up play, and he's maybe more of a similar profile to Harry Kane. But maybe Ivan Toney just offers something a little bit different. You can go from playing through the middle to whipping in crosses and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, but I'm not mad at it.
Neither am I.
I would have been happy with either of them.
And knowing Southgate, none of them get a look in because Harry Kane will start every single game. Minute.
Probably rightly.
Yeah, 100%. And then you got Ollie Watkins, who is he's a shoe-in as well. The fact that he can play left wing and down the middle is pretty good for him.
Yeah. I mean, for me, so one of the main questions you brought up is that left wing role, and for me, I think we're gonna see Foden in that left wing. I think we are. Which
it's
is
an interesting
which
one.
I don't like.
No, I don't think that's his best position. It's better than right wing. I think he's better on the left hand side than he is the right hand side.
Yeah,
but neither are good. He needs to be down the middle.
For me, I think it's got to be Ollie Watkins, and I know you're not the biggest fan of it.
I don't hate it,
but I think a front three of Saka, Watkins, and Kane, that is just goals. But it sort of goes against what Ollie Watkins has done recently, which is not run the channels. He's playing just at that poacher role, and it's done so well for him under Emery.
I think if we had a good overlapping left back, which we kind of don't.
Yeah, maybe what I said the other day was Cole Palmer plays that left wing role.
Yeah, I don't hate Cole Palmer there either.
He plays it wide. He hugs the touchline, and then maybe you have someone like Kieran Trippier I play left back. And he inverts inwards to create that double pivot in the middle.
Not even in the squad, Kieran Trippier.
Not even in the squad.
But I think we play Anthony Gordon there. I think maybe one game we do Anthony Gordon, one game we do Cole Palmer, because I really want to see what Anthony Gordon can do for England. I think Anthony Gordon so direct, and I think he's due a start for England, especially because the options
recently in recent friendlies we saw I think Foden and Maddison both start. and one of them started out wide on the left, one started in the 10, and then they both like kept switching.
Yeah, don't know.
Maybe you could see something like that with Palmer and Foden, because I think that would be really devastating. But yeah, I mean, any forwards you feel hard done by to miss out apart from Solanke?
No.
I think he's got it quite right there. I mean, we've got such a plethora of attacking talent.
Yeah.
But I think he's got it right there. You've got players like Palmer, players like Foden who can sit in the midfield as well. So it's they're not strictly forwards. And I think everyone else in that list, apart from maybe Rashford, is good value for their call up.
Let's talk about one Ross Barkley.
Yeah. So
I've been memeing on Twitter for ages saying Ross Barkley should be getting called up for England, should be starting for England alongside Declan Rice. I think profile-wise, he is doing pretty much that role. He's probably not as progressive as a Kobbie Mainoo, but maybe you could do him at the base and Declan Rice doing the more progressive 8. But I think Ross Barkley should have got called up. I think he's been around the block. He's played at some big teams, played some big football. He's called up for England before. He's technically very, very good.
Astute, isn't he? And he's got that
spray on him, can ping it either side.
He can find those delicate little through balls. He loves that little flick, the chip.
He's more technical than Declan Rice, and I think what you could do is let Declan Rice do the more progressive up and down the pitch and
have Barkley as the sitter.
Barkley as the sitter, especially because England should be dominating pretty much every game they get.
He's physical as well. So
he's physical as well. And then you just let him dictate the games because he's smart enough and good enough to dictate games.
Yeah, I mean, I think someone else in that sort of profile, maybe someone who's a bit more about progressing the ball, a shuffler, who I think maybe could have been with a looking for a call-up, especially over Henderson, is Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
Yeah.
He's from the outside, it looks like he's had quite a good season at Milan, and I think he has had a good season. Maybe not putting up the numbers that we would expect for someone like him to do, but
yeah, I don't think his numbers are that bad though.
Underlooked, maybe overlooked. Sorry, and I think we know he's physical. He's a big unit of player, 6 foot, whatever. Very good technically. He can charge through midfield. Yeah. Like once he gets the ball at his feet, he's really good, just progressing it, and he'll beat that player in the middle of the park, which a lot of players don't do. And I think someone like him would offer so much in terms of presence in the midfield. And his versatility, we can see him play even like a left-back role.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, for me, it just bears the questions. I mean, you've got players like Maguire, you've got players like Henderson, maybe Gallagher, Rashford, maybe not deserving of call-ups. And you've got such a plethora of outliers who should have been called up. The Mainoos, the Barkleys, the Ruben Loftus-Cheeks. So, the question is, Gareth Southgate will live and die by the sword. He will live and die by his selections.
Let us know in the comments 3 players that you'd take out of this squad and 3 players that you'd add to this squad.
100%. If you guys want to check out classicfootballshirts.com, use our referral link down below and enter code BoreDraw10. Save yourself a nice little 10% at checkout, and we get a little kickback from it, and that all goes back into the podcast. So yeah, make sure you check it out.
Got some special videos coming up soon, so keep your eyes peeled. Follow us on all our socials, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We're all just BoreDraw, I think. So yeah, give us a follow. Keep updated on all the good stuff that we're doing.
Yeah, come on England.